your name. Could you? Oh, my fault. I didn't need to. Ah, shit. I didn't see nothing.
Another question.
Sup?
Okay, well, tell me, how does it make you feel?
The official synopsis confirms what fans feared. Despite best efforts, Karen refuses any kind of comforting company while the rest of the Sistas confront their own individual problems as they all rear their ugly heads again.
Grief isn't just personal, it's contagious. And in Sistas Season 9, Episode 5, it's about to infect everyone in ways you never saw coming. Karen's heartbreak has become a wall, separating her from the world, her daughters, and even the sisterhood she once held close. This episode promises emotional devastation, fractured bonds, and shocking confrontations that will leave viewers questioning who will survive this storm of heartbreak. Every whispered conversation, every tense silence, every glance across the room will carry the weight of unspoken pain as each character is pushed to the edge. Expect betrayal to strike when least expected, secrets to explode into public view, and the sisterhood's very foundation to tremble under the weight of loss. Fans warned it would be a heavy episode, and Episode 5 is about to deliver more than anyone could handle. Grief, anger, love, and despair, all colliding into a breathtaking emotional explosion. Karen has never looked so broken. Episode 5 opens on her retreating further into isolation, refusing to touch the surviving daughter, holding only the barest fragments of connection she can summon. Her grief is raw, unrelenting, and it colors every interaction. The loss of what she once had, her stillborn child, her sense of security, and the dream of rebuilding her family, has created an emotional vacuum she cannot escape. Each passing day amplifies her pain, and her refusal to accept comfort makes every room she occupies feel colder, emptier. Zach is caught in the crossfire, his own sorrow mirroring hers, yet unable to breach the distance Karen has built. Aaron's attempt to reach her is met with resistance, frustration, and sometimes silent dismissal, leaving him questioning not just her choices, but his own role in supporting a woman on the verge of self-destruction. Fatima, juggling pregnancy and the growing pressures of keeping secrets, watches helplessly, feeling her own strength stretch thin. Every smile Karen once offered, every small gesture of hope, has been replaced by withdrawal and tense silences that ripple through the group, setting the stage for inevitable confrontations. Sabrina, still raw from past betrayals and emotional wounds, finds herself questioning the stability of her own relationships, wondering if any connection can survive when grief has so thoroughly taken hold. Dany's journey towards self-improvement collides head-on with exhaustion and frustration, and the choices she must make could determine not only her own path, but the cohesion of the entire sisterhood. Andy's external threats and unresolved feelings for Robin add another layer of tension, his world increasingly complicated by forces beyond his control. Episode 5 is not just about individual suffering. It's about how grief fractures a tightly knit circle, testing loyalties, patience, and the very definition of family. As Karen continues her self-imposed exile, the ripples spread, and even small interactions become moments of profound consequence. Misunderstandings ignite sparks that threaten to burn long-standing bonds, while hidden secrets bubble closer to the surface. Every character is forced to confront not just the pain of others, but the weight of their own choices, making Episode 5 a maelstrom of emotional upheaval that leaves fans both breathless and desperate to see who will survive the fallout. Public confrontations are inevitable. Whispered conversations will become explosions of truth and betrayal. The emotional stakes are higher than ever, as each character teeters on the edge between connection and complete isolation. What happens when grief refuses to be soothed? When anger and sorrow take the lead, leaving love and patience trailing behind? Karen's refusal to engage with comfort will force every other character to adapt or fracture, shaping the course of this episode and perhaps the rest of the season. With each passing minute, viewers are drawn deeper into a web of emotional complexity, where every decision carries consequences that cannot be undone. Episode 5 doesn't just reveal what happens after loss, it interrogates how loss transforms every person it touches, leaving scars that may never fade. As the sisters navigate betrayal, heartbreak, and unspoken truths, fans will witness the tension rise, the stakes climb, and the sisterhood face its most vulnerable hour yet. Karen's isolation is only the beginning. The fallout will reach every corner of their intertwined lives, and no one will leave untouched. Sabrina's journey this episode is one of tension and reckoning, as the weight of betrayal and heartbreak presses down harder than ever. Her confrontation with Rich looms large, and episode 5 promises to bring that moment to the forefront with unflinching intensity. Fans have speculated endlessly about whether she will finally speak her truth, whether the anger she has carried silently will erupt in a public declaration, and this episode is poised to deliver precisely that kind of emotional confrontation. Rich's presence in her life, once a source of complicated attachment and confusing loyalties, is now reduced to a test of strength, endurance, and self-respect. Sabrina's refusal to let him slip back in highlights a theme that runs throughout episode 5, boundaries forged through pain. Every interaction she has is tense, loaded with unspoken threats and possibilities of emotional collapse. Dany's struggle parallels Sabrina's in a subtler but no less powerful way. She has been emotionally exhausted by the events of previous episodes, and episode 5 forces her to confront not just external pressures, but the internal reckoning she has long postponed. Will she return to Tony, attempting to recapture a sense of familiarity and stability, or will she choose a more radical route, cutting ties and forging her own path? The tension between desire and responsibility, hope and caution is palpable in every dialogue, every whispered thought, and every hesitant glance she shares with those around her. Meanwhile, Karen's emotional distance amplifies the pressure on the group. Her refusal to accept comfort or connection acts like a gravitational pull, drawing everyone else's anxieties, frustrations, and insecurities to the surface. Aaron struggles with the balance between caregiving and self-preservation, while Zach wrestles with his own grief and anger, leaving the potential for conflict to ignite in any moment. Episode 5 also teases subtle yet powerful emotional flashbacks, visions, and moments of reflection that reveal just how deeply each character has been affected by past losses and betrayals. Fatima, pregnant and concealing her condition, faces a delicate dance between self-preservation and loyalty to her friends. The secrecy surrounding her pregnancy adds tension to every interaction, as fans speculate about when and how she might finally reveal the truth, and what impact it will have on the already strained relationships in the group. The medical injustice subplot from episode 3 also resurfaces, highlighting ongoing tensions around trust, authority, and the fight for justice. Dr. Cruz's dismissive attitude at the bedside has lingering consequences, and episode 5 may see Sabrina or Fatima challenge the system, publicly or privately, demanding accountability in ways that could spark broader ramifications. These intertwined storylines, Karen's withdrawal, Sabrina's confrontation, Dany's self-discovery, Fatima's secret, Aaron and Zach's struggle, create a tightly wound web of suspense where every decision carries weight, every conversation risks a rupture, and every character teeters on the edge of emotional implosion. Episode 5 doesn't just explore grief in isolation, it shows how unprocessed trauma, unresolved anger, and hidden secrets collide, creating a pressure cooker environment that threatens to blow apart the sisterhood. Public confrontations, private outbursts, and subtle manipulations all intertwine, building an almost unbearable tension that keeps viewers on the edge of their seats. By the end of this section of the episode, every character is forced to face not just the actions of others, but the consequences of their own decisions, with no simple resolution in sight. Every bond is tested, every loyalty questioned, and every hidden truth risks exposure, creating a cascade of emotional intensity that leaves fans breathless and desperate to see how the fallout will unfold. Episode 5 establishes itself as a turning point, a crucible where grief, betrayal, and courage converge, reshaping relationships, challenging assumptions, and forcing each character to confront what they truly value, what they can forgive, and what they are willing to risk in order to survive the emotional storm that surrounds them. Episode 5 deepens the fractures within the sisterhood, showing that grief has consequences far beyond Karen's isolation. Her refusal to engage, to accept even the simplest gestures of comfort, is not just a personal struggle, it has become a catalyst, amplifying tension among everyone around her. Aaron feels the strain acutely, torn between honoring Karen's grief and protecting his own emotional stability. the loss of a child, combined with the constant push-pull of trying to connect with someone who refuses, leaves him teetering between anger, sorrow, and helplessness. Zach, too, is pulled into this vortex of emotion, his own grief colliding with Aaron's attempts at reason, creating sparks of conflict that could erupt at any moment. Fatima, balancing the physical demands of her pregnancy with the emotional weight of her secret, faces pressures that threaten to shatter her composure. Each small interaction carries enormous stakes. A missed glance, an offhand comment, a quiet refusal, all ripple outward, straining bonds that once seemed unbreakable. Sabrina's arc intensifies as she confronts Rich head-on, refusing to allow the past to dictate her future. The tension in every exchange is palpable, a mix of anger, disappointment, and the lingering pain of betrayal. Fans are speculating on whether she will finally sever all ties or give him one last chance. But Episode 5 leans into the dramatic power of standing firm in self-respect. Dany's storyline interweaves seamlessly, offering moments of introspection and potential growth, even as exhaustion and frustration threaten to derail her progress. Her decisions about Tony, her personal boundaries, and her own self-improvement journey underscore a broader theme of resilience in the face of overwhelming emotional strain. Public confrontations become inevitable as private tensions spill into the open, and viewers are left anticipating explosive dialogue, powerful accusations, and moments where hidden truths can no longer remain buried. Karen's self-imposed exile also serves as a mirror, reflecting the vulnerabilities, fears, and unresolved tensions of the other characters. Aaron and Zach must navigate not only their own grief, but the repercussions of Karen's withdrawal, while Sabrina and Dany confront the limits of loyalty, friendship, and forgiveness. Fatima's concealed pregnancy continues to loom like a ticking time bomb, threatening to destabilize relationships just as they begin to find balance, making every conversation, glance, and gesture charged with suspense. The medical subplot resurfaces, with Dr. Cruz's dismissive behavior from previous episodes casting long shadows on trust and credibility. Episode 5 raises critical questions about accountability, justice, and the ways in which personal trauma intersects with societal failure. Each character's arc intertwines, creating a tense web of emotion that leaves no one untouched. As Karen isolates, Sabrina challenges, Dany reflects, Aaron and Zach clash, and Fatima balances secrecy with survival. The episode maintains an unrelenting intensity, compelling viewers to feel the emotional weight in every moment. Even the smallest decisions have monumental consequences. A refusal to speak, a hesitant step forward, a subtle act of compassion, all carry potential to heal or devastate. By the midpoint of the episode, fans are drawn into a maelstrom of tension, unable to predict which bonds will hold and which will break. Episode 5 doesn't just chronicle events. It immerses the audience in the raw, unfiltered emotional landscape of characters confronting grief, betrayal, and the tenuous nature of human connection. Every thread of narrative, from hidden secrets to overt confrontations, converges into a suspenseful and thrilling tapestry, leaving viewers desperate to see how the fallout will reshape relationships, test loyalties, and redefine the meaning of family, sisterhood, and personal strength. This episode reminds us that emotional storms rarely strike in isolation, and in Sistas. Season 9, Episode 5, every character is caught in the eye of a hurricane they cannot escape. Episode 5 further amplifies the tension as the repercussions of past actions collide with the fragile present, pushing each character to confront truths they have long avoided. Karen's continued withdrawal from everyone, her refusal to engage even in the smallest acts of connection, sets the stage for emotional explosions that no one can ignore. Aaron's attempts to navigate her grief are met with walls of silence, leaving him frustrated, desperate, and emotionally exhausted. Zach's grief, equally intense but expressed differently, creates friction that threatens to push both men further apart, igniting moments of conflict that feel both inevitable and devastating. Sabrina's storyline escalates dramatically as her confrontation with Rich moves from private hesitation to a public reckoning. Fans have speculated for weeks about whether she will finally speak her truth and reclaim her power, and Episode 5 leans into the full intensity of that moment, delivering emotionally charged dialogue that underscores the depth of her betrayal and the strength of her resolve. Dany's emotional exhaustion is mirrored by her pursuit of self-improvement, highlighting the tension between vulnerability and resilience. Every decision she makes, whether about Tony or her own boundaries, carries weight, and the episode emphasizes how the choices of one individual ripple outward to affect the entire sisterhood. Fatima's pregnancy remains a central source of suspense, hidden yet looming over every interaction. Her struggle to maintain composure while juggling personal vulnerability and loyalty to her friends heightens the emotional stakes, leaving viewers on edge as they anticipate the moment when her secret may finally surface. The medical subplot, revisited with Dr. Cruz's dismissive behavior, continues to expose systemic injustices and adds a layer of social tension, reminding fans that the consequences of negligence extend far beyond the individual. Each subplot intertwines seamlessly, showing how grief, betrayal, secrecy, and resilience are interconnected, creating a complex emotional tapestry where the smallest spark can ignite chaos. Episode 5 portrays moments of confrontation, private reflection, and tension-filled silence with equal intensity, maintaining a suspenseful rhythm that keeps viewers engaged and emotionally invested. Public interactions, particularly Sabrina's and Karen's, are charged with anticipation as fans speculate on who will break, who will forgive, and who will be left behind. Karen's self-imposed isolation not only tests her own emotional limits, but forces every other character to respond, revealing cracks in their relationships, vulnerabilities, and unresolved conflicts. The interplay between grief and responsibility, personal healing, and group loyalty creates a narrative tension that is as thrilling as it is heartbreaking. By placing every character in situations where the stakes are both emotional and relational, Episode 5 ensures that viewers remain on edge, unsure which relationships will survive and which will be irreparably altered. The episode structure, alternating between moments of intense confrontation and quieter introspection, allows for a deep exploration of each character's emotional landscape, offering fans insight into motivations, fears, and desires that have long simmered beneath the surface. As secrets threaten to spill, as grief becomes a catalyst for tension, and as each sister navigates her own challenges, Episode 5 delivers a masterclass in suspenseful storytelling, keeping viewers riveted while exploring the raw and unfiltered emotional consequences of loss, betrayal, and the struggle to hold a fractured group together. Every decision, every withheld word, and every subtle gesture carries profound implications, reinforcing the episode's relentless emotional intensity and leaving fans desperate to see what happens next. As Sistas Season 9, Episode 5 reaches its climax, the emotional tension is at its peak, and no character is spared from the storm of grief, betrayal, and uncertainty. Karen's continued self-imposed exile looms like a shadow over the entire group, her refusal to accept comfort or connection creating a vacuum that everyone else struggles to navigate. Aaron wrestles with the impossible balance of compassion and self-preservation, feeling the weight of responsibility for both Karen and the surviving child, while Zach retreats into his own sorrow, the silence between them thick with unspoken pain. Sabrina's confrontation with Rich reaches a boiling point, a moment fans have anticipated with mounting anxiety, as she finally finds the courage to assert her boundaries and demand accountability for the betrayal she endured. The intensity of her actions reverberates through the sisterhood, challenging loyalties, shifting alliances, and redefining relationships that were once considered unbreakable. Dany's journey towards self-discovery and self-improvement takes center stage as she must decide whether to embrace the lessons learned from past emotional exhaustion or fall back into patterns of dependence and compromise. Fatima, holding her pregnancy secret like a fragile thread, faces mounting pressure as she balances physical demands, emotional vulnerability, and the responsibility of supporting her friends. Each subtle glance, each hesitant word, each suppressed outburst adds layers to the suspense, leaving fans on edge as they anticipate the inevitable revelations and confrontations. Episode 5 also revisits critical social issues, with Dr. Cruz's dismissive behavior serving as a reminder of systemic failures and injustices, and characters like Sabrina and Fatima stepping up to demand accountability, amplifying the stakes far beyond personal conflict. The episode intricately weaves together grief, anger, secrecy, and resilience, creating a complex narrative web where the emotional fallout of one character directly impacts the choices and vulnerabilities of the others. The tension is unrelenting. Karen's isolation, Aaron and Zach's grief, Sabrina's empowerment, Dany's self-examination, and Fatima's concealed pregnancy all collide in moments of suspense, confrontation, and revelation. By the end of episode 5, viewers are left grappling with the raw intensity of these intertwined arcs, anticipating not only who will survive the emotional turbulence, but how the bonds of sisterhood will emerge from the chaos. This episode serves as a turning point, a crucible in which grief, betrayal, and resilience test every character's limits, leaving fans both breathless and eager for what comes next. Every thread of narrative, from public confrontations to private introspection, from emotional breakdowns to fleeting moments of hope, is meticulously crafted to maximize suspense, emotional investment, and dramatic impact. Episode 5 doesn't just tell a story, it immerses the audience in the visceral, unfiltered emotional experiences of characters forced to navigate loss, confront betrayal, and fight for connection in the face of overwhelming adversity. As secrets unravel, alliances shift, and the sisterhood faces its most challenging hour, viewers are left with the lingering question, can grief, pain, and betrayal ultimately destroy the bonds that once held them together? Or will the resilience of these women prove stronger than the storms they endure? Episode 5 of Sistas. Season 9 promises heartbreak, intensity, and suspense at every turn, leaving fans desperate to see what comes next, and proving that when emotional stakes are this high, nothing will ever be the same again.